From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, Mark Geragos, with Gina Grad on news, Bald Brian on sound effects, and we crown the championship of March Madness. And now, madder about waiters and tipping than those mothers are about drunk driving. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on a choice. We get on mandate. Get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
And Bald Brian.
Maybe white people are the problem.
Awesome Dawsom's over there. Mark Geragos is in the studio. We were just doing a little supplementary reasonable doubt called...
Come on, I came up with the name and I get nothing.
Doubt.
Beyond a reasonable doubt. Isn't that good? Don't you like that?
Perfect.
So I said,
Great.
Mark, hang out and we should talk a little about the Chauvin trial since you've been following it so closely and nobody's more qualified than you. And when
Plus, I always, it's always when you say hang out at ACS and I get to see Gina, I thought it was a bait and switch. I thought you'd be in studio, but virtually I'll take you. And Bald, it's always good to see you.
My friend.
So Mark, part of Mark's frustration is he can't really get the straight story from watching the old news networks, the CNNs and the MSNBCs, even ABC, CBS, and then Fox has their version of it, but we're not really getting the version of what's actually going on in the courtroom. So because what we're getting is kind of cheerleaders, essentially, instead of fact finders. And boy, experts, think about experts. Think about medical experts. Think about criminal
county health experts.
County health experts.
Yeah.
Think how eroded the title expert has become over the last year or so. So
what are you now?
So we bring in, I said, Mark, hang out and sort of catch us up on what's going on that trial.
Let me tell you something, because it's so frustrating to me, having lived through what I call these supersized trials. And it's also frustrating to me because I've got a day job, and the last thing when I'm interested in something that obviously I saw a poll, I was just telling Adam, I saw a poll that somewhere in the neighborhood of 58% of the country are following this closely or somewhat closely. 48% of the country believe he's guilty, Derek Chauvin. But you would like to feel like you're actually getting some accurate information. So I watch CNN, I watch MSNBC, I watch Fox. Fox is busy at the border, and MSNBC and CNN have got people who proclaim themselves to be criminal defense lawyers who sound to me like cheerleaders for the prosecution. Nancy Grace would blush at some of the stuff she hears coming out of the mouths of, I love Gina.
If you ever want to hear Nancy's opinion on this, she has a lot to say. Although, however, I have been focused on this 2-year-old who was killed at a nursery day school. I am furious. I am fuming. I'm going to work on that. But as soon as I'm done, I swear I will get to this Derek Chauvin trial.
So Adam and I were talking last week. Last week was 1 week of feelings. How do witnesses feel? How do they, what kind of emotions? Are you able to sleep at night? All of which is very cathartic, and I understand the country may need that kind of catharsis. However, it's a criminal trial where you're supposed to prove the elements of the charged offense. And I've yet to feel, nobody has explained to me how a witness's feelings and emotions relate to the criminal elements of the charge of manslaughter or murder. So
They might not, but Mark doesn't work on a jury? That's the ultimate question, right?
The ultimate question, I've said this for years, is that people underestimate jurors to this degree. Jurors, when they get those jury instructions, they try mightily to follow the instructions. They try mightily to follow the law. Normally, when somebody takes the oath, they believe in the oath. The problem with a case like this is that jurors are going to fear that, as Mia said, the Black Lives Matter, I just saw a tape of her. She said, if there's a not guilty, we're going to burn the house down. We're going to burn it down. And jurors are not sequestered, so jurors know that. So you have to really say to yourself, how is a juror and I've been there. When they removed a 4-person on one of my juries because he didn't want to vote guilty, but was afraid that if he didn't vote guilty, he would be basically hung in effigy. How is a juror supposed to weigh the evidence at that point? And by the way, and I've said this and Adam's heard it before, you make bad law with cases like this, and it's going to apply. You're going to have the next prosecutor is going to be prosecuting somebody who may be a loved one of yours, and you're going to say, what the hell happened here? How is this possible? How is this admissible? And you'll say, well, when we wanted to prosecute somebody we all universally hate, it was okay. But when it's your brother, your sister, your son, then we've got a problem. And
hey, Mark, a quick question, because you know a lot about jury selection and all that, of course. With such a high-profile case, why aren't they sequestered?
It's beyond me. Look, the minute that judge said that I can't send this, the change of venue, meaning I can't send it to a different location because of the publicity. Well, okay, I got you. I'm with you. You can't change the venue. However, you can sequester the jury. They did it for Aaron Hernandez in Massachusetts. They did it for Casey Anthony in Florida. The fear, I suppose, is that if you sequester the jury won't be inflamed by what's happening outside. You're making awfully, awfully bad law here. And I'm just going to tell you, it's going to come back to haunt the very people who want and are cheerleading conviction.
I know Chelsea Handler had a tweet that you enjoyed. Because...
Oh, God. Chelsea Handler, by the way, who enjoys vodka as much as I enjoy tequila, and on occasion can be rip-roaringly funny, basically said, dispense with due process. If there's audio or visual evidence, we don't need a trial. That was kind of that's a very Stalin-esque viewpoint.
Yeah.
So
totalitarian.
Yeah. So what you're seeing, and so just a sort of layman's version of all this. So we're in this world where the news outlets become cheerleaders for the prosecution. They only sort of give you the highlights of the prosecution. They're not really offering alternatives that the defense had brought up, for instance. And then, so what we're getting is a version of the trial that does not mirror what's going on inside the courtroom, but the jurors are. And so if the jurors acquit or they lessen the charges, then all the people that have just been watching the cheerleaders version of it go apoplectic and start burning everything down, because how could you acquit this guy? We heard all the damning evidence.
When the defense yesterday, did anybody hear this? When the defense yesterday asked a couple of questions of the police chief, everybody's heard. The police chief said, this isn't policy. This isn't how we train. The defense, Eric Nelson, got up and asked a couple of questions. He said, when was the last time you arrested somebody? Years ago, the chief. By the way, when you're saying this isn't within policy, you're talking about employment decisions, aren't you? Yeah, I'm talking about employment decisions. They're not trying him for the employment decision. He was fired. And probably beyond any doubt, reasonably, justifiably fired. However, the questions that were asked of the chief on cross-examination, which the chief all conceded, haven't been reported anywhere, or were buried in one NBC News article towards the last paragraph after about 10 paragraphs of pom-pom waving.
Yes, and the other phrase that I've been hearing a lot is the blue wall of silence, which I had never heard. But, everyone's breaking the blue wall of silence. That's been the headline.
Right. And by the way, I understand that. Having, I will give the mea culpa myself. I have only defended cops intermittently over 4 decades. I sue cops regularly. A large part of my practice is suing cops. I get that there is a blue wave of silence. However, this is not a civil case. This is a criminal case. In a criminal case, we should have some evidentiary rulings that are related to and based on fact. And for every time I hear somebody saying the defense is trying to put George Floyd on trial, I just want to scream. No, they aren't. They're trying to defend and they're trying to get into causation. Causation is an element of the crime. The defense is actually doing what they're supposed to do because they're trying to negate causation. So when people say, well, they're talking about fentanyl, they're talking about heart disease, they're talking about this or that, that's all irrelevant. No, the feelings are irrelevant of witnesses. What is relevant is what is the cause of death. You can argue over cause of death. You can say that the knee on the neck for 9 minutes was excessive. I get all of that. But the defense would be ineffective as a matter of law if they didn't challenge the causation.
Well, I was watching Jake Tapper, I think, on Sunday morning. He had Ilhan Omar on. I think she said exactly what you just said. So we'll take a look at this clip. I just took it from my TV set.
Really horrendous to watch the defense put George Floyd on trial instead of the former police officer who's charged with his murder.
Major League. So the defense should put their client on trial. You've been doing it wrong all these years.
Apparently, I've misread the Constitution. Apparently, the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court for 200 years is wrong. And apparently, the 6068 of the Business Professions Code, I'm not supposed to zealously defend a client. I'm supposed to prosecute my client.
Imagine this dingbat in a position of power. Like, they put George Floyd on trial instead of the police officer. Like, imagine just uttering that into a microphone.
Let me explain something. So for those who don't quite understand, a person is charged with murder. I don't care if you hate him. I don't care if he's the most despicable human that has ever walked the face of the earth. I don't care about any of that. What I care about, if you're defending or prosecuting, you're supposed to find the elements, which means the death of another. It has to be a homicide. The defendant has to have the requisite mental state, what's called a mens rea. So they either have to have malice or something less than malice if it's manslaughter, and there has to be causation. Those are the elements. And he's talking about the elements. He's not putting somebody else on trial.
I know. We've just all lost our
collective minds. And by the way, you will hopefully someday say, wait a second here, maybe be careful what you wish for. If we can just start talking about people's feelings and convict people based on feelings of criminal charges and deprive them of liberty, we've reached a point in this world where you might barricade a restaurant for doing outdoor dining.
Oh, Tin Horn Flats. Yeah, I want to get into your client's Tin Horn Flats in a second. So summation is, where do you have this trial X amount of days in? How do you...
Look, you can't look at the jurors, which is, I guess I suppose a good thing.
You can't see them on camera.
You can't see them on camera, so you can't see how they're reacting. I will tell you, when I watch C-SPAN, it is breathtaking to me how it's being reported from what I'm watching on C-SPAN when I actually watch the cross-examination by the defense. It's a brave new world. Having said that, there's no way that in my humble opinion, that you're going to get an acquittal in this case, because the jurors who live there are not going to set their town on fire or their state on fire. And as Mia said, Black Lives Matter, if there's an acquittal, the country will burn. So you're not going to find an acquittal. The best case scenario, and I said it in jury selection, is you hope for a hung jury if you're the defense in this case.
And then they'll retry it?
Yeah, they'll retry it, or the feds will come in and indict him and convict him a lot quicker.
All right, so Tin Horn Flats, they're up the street. We brought them up a few times. Restaurant, been there for 40 some odd years. I went to high school with the owner of it now. They're famously shut down by Burbank, and then they did their outdoor dining anyway.
Do you know they've arrested, mind you, the court order is against the corporation. There's a court order. They went in, they got a temporary restraining order against the corporation. I represent the corporation. I don't represent anybody else. I was deemed to represent the corporation because I went in, made a special appearance to quash service because they had not served Barrett, who you went to high school with.
Yeah.
So the city of Burbank has, in their infinite wisdom, arrested Lucas, the 20-year-old son of Barrett, not once, but twice. Once, while he's on the sidewalk, which was today, he was on the sidewalk moving sandbags, okay, at 9:30 in the morning. Let's go arrest him.
What were the sandbags there for?
They sandbagged so he can't even get to the outdoor patio. I mean, literally, and I'm told that they're building a cement wall now to try to block off the location. They've lost their mind.
Small.
They arrested him at 11 o'clock at night at a traffic light the day before yesterday. And I believe in my heart of hearts that a lot of this comes from a guy by the name of
Constantine Anthony,
who really has got a thing for my podcast partner here.
Yeah, he's not a fan.
Well,
He's not a fan.
He's the guy who, in this Burbank City Council, who was basically explaining that arresting Rosa Parks was a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's like, well, we did it anyway. Rules are rules. So he's basically saying, even when we're wrong, we still have to arrest people, essentially, like they did with Rosa Parks. People
And by
miss
the
that
way,
story.
As my people say, he was a little famished.
Yeah, he's a little, well, he's more than a little famished. Isn't he self-proclaimed on the spectrum?
Yes, he's on the spectrum. He's formerly homeless, and I made fun of him, and that's a hate crime.
Do we have his tweet?
Yeah, we have it.
Where
Let's
is it?
have it.
Yeah, Keillor will put it up.
So they shut the electricity. They
Right.
shut the power.
Yeah.
So Adam Carolla, he spelled my name. I've had my name misspelled many different
never
ways.
seen it that
Never
way.
this
This is
way.
a new take.
Adam called me impaired, handicapped, imbecile on his podcast today, and that was after he found out I was autistic. Yeah, I was basing it on your autism on the spectrum. By the way, sleeping. He's a formerly homeless person who slept outside. Well, good. Now he's making a insane policy in the city of Burbank. Yes. Thank you, Constantine. Now do your fucking job and shut up.
Yeah, by the way, Constantine, if you are somebody who likes to live outside, why are you so opposed to somebody eating outside?
That's a decent point. Yeah. Remember all those salad days of you camping on the sidewalk?
Exactly. And by the way, there is an exemption under the Corona dictates for being homeless. Now that you've made the clients and the Tin Horn Flats homeless, maybe they get it. They should fall under the exemption.
So they shut the power.
Right.
And
then they padlocked the doors.
Then they padlocked the
The
doors. Now
sheriffs padlocked it.
got generators. So
Right.
Tin Horn Flats went around. Now I went there with Sonny, some months ago, and just ate outdoors on the patio. They have a big patio outside, and it's like any other patio you've eaten at, and never a
Which are all
shred.
generally open.
Right now, and not a shred of evidence of any outdoor transmission of the disease.
Oh, by the way, I sent this to Gary last week for Reasonable Doubt. I watched MSNBC, and they had on a woman who's an epidemiologist who met, I forget the host's name, but he's very virulently anti-right. And he asked her a question. He said, what do you think about the right's disinformation campaign about Corona? And she had the temerity to say, well, actually, it's kind of across the spectrum, speaking of spectrum, because there really is, after a year, there's no evidence that this has anything to do with outdoor transmission. And you should have seen the guy's face. It was like, oh my God, you've committed heresy. This is blasphemy that you would ever say that both sides, the anti-vaxxers and anti-outdoors people have some kind of symbiotic equivalency.
So now the city of Burbank is sandbagging literally, or barricading literally, this place that refuses to go out of business. Oh, so we're just looking at pictures of Tin Horn Flats now. And,
Oh, my.
Wow.
And they're
Freedom now.
Yeah.
stacking up. My God, if you called the city of Burbank and said, I got a love seat out on the curb in front of me and there's a homeless guy shitting on it, they would hang up on you. It would take them 7 months to send a guy out to write up a report. But if you're Tin Horn Flats, they're fucking Johnny on the spot, right?
Yeah, and by the way, there's been in-home invasions in Burbank in this last couple of weeks. There has been a spike in violent crime, but I'm told that they have deployed undercover detectives to monitor Tin Horn Flats. That's where the deployment of resources, that and barricading the place, is what Burbank's tax dollars are being used. But by the way, they just announced a program for small businesses, so you can get grants. So I told Barrett, why don't you apply for one, and then we can pay for the bail money for Lucas.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
I mean, they've lost their collective minds. It's like nothing I've ever seen. I can't believe it's happening within 9 minutes of here. You would think this was in a foreign country somewhere, but no, it's right here in the San Gabriel Valley, brought to you by the formerly homeless, on the spectrum ruler of Burbank.
Yeah, San Fernando Valley, I think. Sorry.
People outside the area, Burbank's its own city, and there's like L.A. and Glendale. It's its own city, separate from L.A. Mark, is this happening anywhere else? Why? And if not, why does Burbank have such a hard-on for this seemingly nothing burger?
I will tell you what is astonishing to me. City of Burbank does not have, even though it's a city, they don't have their own health department. So they rely on the L.A. County Health Department. So when I didn't make the argument, Alexandra made the argument to the city council of Burbank that the LA County revocation of the health permit was based on a faulty or legally infirm basis. Basically, that the county had been restrained by a Superior Court judge in another case that I was litigating. The brain surgeon, Constantine Anthony, responded, I don't care what an LA County judge says. I don't care what LA County or downtown judges are saying. We're going to do it, and then launched into the Rosa Parks, which shows the intellectual bankruptcy and frankly, the intellectual challenge of these people. If you don't care what the LA County judge says, then why are you running to an LA County judge to get an order in the first place?
Yeah,
they care sometimes and not others.
Well, there's a bottom line. They made an idiotic rule, and Tin Horn Flats broke their idiotic rule. And something we formerly look. You think about movies. Movies are about the Rosa Parks of the world. They're about the, sort of thing where they said to
the
Branch Rickey,
on tobacco, right?
You can't have a black person on your roster. And he said, I'm gonna hire Jackie Robinson. All the heroes in terms of mythology, in terms of movies, in terms of storytelling, are all the rule breakers. They're not the fucking bureaucrats who enforce these unfair rules. So Tin Horn Flats is basically doing what the movies tell him to do, essentially doing what all the stories in the Bible and all the stories that have ever been told, they are essentially doing that. And I don't think history is going to be kind to this, but we're sitting back and watching this. So basically, they're being punished for defying them. They're not being punished for endangering people. They're being punished for defying them.
Well, and we've also got this kind of perverse judicial abdication. The judges, there's been a couple of judges, Judge Chalfant for one in downtown, who originally restrained the county when we went in for a petition, and then the Court of Appeal just stayed it and kind of punted it. We're operating under what I call the COVID Constitution, which means anything goes. An emergency can last for years. It's basically, if you read about this in the Philippines, or if you read about this in the Honduras, you would say, oh my God, what a tin horn type of, get it?
Flat, yeah. Yeah, Banana Republic.
Banana Republic.
All right, last topic, Spirit Airlines. Chris just sent me this. You sent the video, but was it an old story?
No, this broke yesterday.
Oh, it was another 2-year-old getting thrown off a plane. By the way, the vectors of transmission, airplane. There's zero on airplanes. No one's really yet to really sufficiently describe the airplane. Now, I know they say they have ventilation systems. But does that explain 150 people packed into a cigar tube? I mean, in a world where you could go, you take off from LAX. If you took off from LAX in June, you fly directly over the beach. You fly right over the ocean. You go out into the ocean. They do like a U-turn and head to wherever it is you have to go. If you look down on that beach, someone would be arrested for paddleboarding alone. But inside the fucking airplane you're in, there's 180 people. And yes, they've left a seat open between the two of you and Coach, which is 17 inches. I'll explain to you off the air what Coach is. Because he thinks I'm talking about a handbag.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are you talking about? Tenny buys a Coach.
I'll talk to you off the air. I don't want to bore most of our listeners understand the concept of Coach. But what sense does this make? And then a 2-year-old needs to have their mask. Why 2? And how can you expect a 2-year-old to navigate anything, especially something like a mask?
Well, by the way, can we also talk about the first indications of the spread of the virus in the United States were when people flew over from Wuhan, both into LA and into Atlanta, and CDC did nothing with those people, and they then went into the wind, and it's been documented that the airplane ended up incubating the virus amongst the people on those initial planes about 14 months ago. But one of the reasons that we didn't do anything, because once again, we were not following the science, we were following the lobbyists. We didn't shut that down because at the time the administration was worried about the travel industry and they were worried about airlines, and we paid the price for it.
So now there's this footage. I didn't see it because you sent it to me, and it said this video cannot be watched or something. So I don't know what
we can watch a little bit of it here.
But it's a family, and they have a 2-year-old.
2-year-old eating.
2-year-old
take note of who's not causing the problem.
I looked at this out of your car. What did I do? I told you, non-compliance, you will have to get off. I didn't want to do this. But you have to pick up your stuff. What did I do?
What did we do?
I'm sorry. I want you off.
Okay, no problem. Just tell me what we did.
Non-compliance with the mask.
We're wearing a mask. Wearing a mask.
She's not wearing it.
The baby?
Wearing a mask.
A lot of babies are not wearing masks. I keep putting it on.
Wearing a mask.
A lot of kids don't wear masks.
Who been sitting next to me? Was I wearing a mask?
He was wearing it the whole time.
Guys, was I wearing a mask all the time, everybody?
I'm sorry.
But the kids don't. This baby's
I'll make sure he wears it. Everything's gonna be fine.
I'm sorry.
I'll make sure that they're wearing it, okay?
He's pulling it off.
Special needs child and a 2-year-old.
I understand.
Right.
I'm not my choice. It's not my choice.
Whose choice? Let's bring him
Why
in.
would you make
Not my choice.
Right, bring him in.
waste time to do this?
I'm sorry, but she has to get up and you have to take your stuff and you have to.
I'm not. Excuse me. I'm not going to leave until I understand what I did wrong.
I have a
If you want to call your manager, you can call your manager.
Not comply with the mask policy.
You said it's not you. So who is this? We're done talking, right?
We're done talking,
Okay.
but pilot wants you off, you have to get off.
Who wants me off?
Pilot wants you off.
Who?
She's a baby.
Pilot wants you off.
I paid for my flight.
You have to
How
get
old
off.
is she? She's just turned 2 a month ago.
I understand.
It's 5 and up. What's the She's deal? been trying to wear it. She keeps
All right, we got it.
So
Listen,
basically-
they were an hour into the flight.
Well, no. So they ended up having to deboard the entire plane, and then
Had they taken off yet?
no.
Okay.
So they deboarded, and then a little over an hour later, they reboarded. Everybody was allowed back on, and
Except
well, they said except for that flight attendant who was demanding they get off. But Spirit Airlines
Wait, that flight attendant was not let back on?
Well, that's what the story was, but Spirit Airlines went out and said, "No, we had a crew change. It's not what you think."
Right,
yeah, so that's
right.
what Spirit.
Why do I have
one person crew change?
By the way, they shouldn't be called Spirit. They should be called Letter. Because that was not the spirit of the law. The 2-year-old taking the fucking mask off to eat some
there's an
applesauce.
All I could think of as I'm watching that is you've got Constantine over here who's talking about basically he's forgotten what the Nuremberg defense was, which is basically I was just following orders. Then you've got this flight attendant. Is that what I have to call them now?
I
In
guess.
the old days, I used to say stewardess, and I've been stoned for that. But
You know, the hot chick who tops off your Courvoisier when you're on the
on Big Boy.
on Big Boy.
Yeah,
the same role.
I call that well, anyway.
Yes.
So she's saying,
What do you call it, Mark?
yeah, if I had a 1942 before, I would have named it. The idea that somehow we're just following, didn't she just say, I'm just following the rules? Wasn't that what she said?
Or what the pilot told her.
Yeah, the pilot told me, so I'm just following the rules.
Wait, I have a quick question.
There's a certain amount of, at what point the old John Lewis thing, get in some good trouble? When do people decide that at a certain point it's okay to just say this is absurd?
Well, it's interesting. You talk about John Lewis in good trouble, and he passed away, I guess, about a year ago now. Mm-hmm. That was the whole notion, but he was talking about good trouble in terms of go out and protest with Black Lives Matter. He wasn't talking about a restaurant reopening and defying the rules. He would have condemned that, I'm sure.
I don't know. I mean, I think I like to think that people, maybe it's my naivete, but I like to think that somebody can hold two concepts in their hand. They can say the criminal justice system is irretrievably broken, which by the way, Dawson is here. Awesome Dawson did the audio book 8 years ago when I said that. So you can hold that in your head and say criminal justice system is irretrievably broken. And you can also say to yourself, the left has gone off the deep end in terms of the Constitution right now. Why can't both be true?
I think they can. I think they are. Yes, Gina.
Real quick, I'm just going to make some nerds real horny real fast. All I can think about is an episode of Star Trek Next Generation that it keeps popping into my head over this whole debate, which is they land on this planet. It's perfect. Everybody's happy. Everybody's beautiful. They can't figure out. It's almost very Twilight Zone-esque. Why is everybody so perfect and happy and playing at the park and having the best time? And then they're playing Frisbee or something, and they accidentally, one of them goes to catch the Frisbee and their toe goes on the grass, and everybody just stops and turns to them. That person's hauled away and you never see him again. And you find out that the reason why everything looks so perfect and everyone's happy is because if you break one little rule, they sentence you to death.
Yeah, they based that on Singapore. They based that on Singapore.
That reminds me.
And that kind of reminds me of the conversation.
Reminds me of an episode of Battlestar Galactica once. Now, bear with me. This is going to take a minute.
Yeah, wait.
All right. Stop nerding out over there, Gina.
But the concept is
no, I get it. And listen,
Horny Nerds for Gina is a new Facebook group.
Here's what I would say about the pilot once the kid thrown off the plane. How does the pilot fucking know that kid is in there with his mask around his neck eating pudding?
You touched on, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but you touched on something that my spidey sense went off, which is, would you say pilot or captain? Do you think the pilot even knew? Do you think she just made that call on her own?
No.
That's something you go that says, something's going on back there. Can I throw your name around? Do I have your permission?
Yeah, this is you going maybe to the cockpit and going, I just thought you should know there's somebody who's not in compliance. They probably didn't even say a 2-year-old, whatever.
Right.
They went, all right, well then, and they're being combative. Okay, well then they're getting her.
Right.
Crazy Karen, and I guess black chicks can be Karens too in this evolved society. If that, in fact, because that felt pretty Karen-y for me. You know, it's normally
the Karen rule enforcer,
right?
The twist.
But also it's sort of here's the slippery slope we're on. And you see it all the time, which is I'm telling you to do something, and then you go, okay, we'll comply, or this is fine, or just take the plane off, or just let Tin Horn Flats. And it's not an argument over safety. It's an argument over defiance. You're defying me. You're pushing back against this unreasonable. I'm going to tell you to do something unreasonable. You're going to state your case, and now you're defying me, and now everyone's getting off the plane, and now we're getting the sandbags out and blocking the doors. You have defied me. Yeah. Well, that is a very scary relationship to have with people in power. We should always keep it to the matter at hand, the subject, not whether you have defied. And cops do this all the time. You do that thing where you tell the cop, I was just going with the flow of, okay, now it's time to get out of the car.
Right.
Like you pushed.
I call that contempt of cop.
You pushed back. We should never. And by the way, it's very tempting for people in power to play the defiance card. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in charge. I mean, they do experiments with monkeys and college kids and stuff like that. Once someone gets a little juice and a baton, then the rules start changing. And again, you should never have that relationship, that defiance relationship. And that's kind of micro and macro what's going on in our society right now. So that's why I would like people to have less power. That's me. All right, let me give you some plugs, Mark. I don't even know where your plug sheet is.
You want my
here.
plug sheet?
We got Reasonable Doubt.
Right, Reasonable Doubt. And we're doing Beyond Reasonable Doubt, which is every Tuesday and Thursday we're going to drop extra special episodes. If you're in New York, stop by Prova Pizzeria in Grand Central Terminal and at the Moxie Hotel in Times Square, Engine Company 28 downtown, and 10E Mediterranean Tapas. If you're at Engine Company, say hi to Dr. Alien. If you're at 10E, there's the Preacher, who we've got a temporary restraining order out against. Then if you're in Palm Springs, go by Gigi's or the Elixir.
I was telling Mark off the air, the reason I knew Beyond a Reasonable Doubt was his idea versus Gary's idea is because when Mark told me the title of it, he punched me in the arm and started laughing, which means it's his idea.
And not Gary's.
And not Gary's idea. And did I tell you, I told you on Beyond Reasonable Doubt, but did I tell you here an hour ago I was walking through my neighborhood and saw a painter? Did I say that on this show?
Oh, that
No,
was the
I
last.
think so.
I was funny. He goes, I was walking and there's a guy painting in a van. He was out in his van. He was in the street. He was a real painter, showing white bib coveralls and had a white van and a white T-shirt.
Yes, this was not Van Gogh.
It's weird. I guess the conceit is we only paint white things because every real painter's like white. But what about the brown trim? I mean, is that going to fuck up your coveralls? But anyway, he's standing there, and I'm walking past him.
You do the brown trim first, then white, so it
Then he
covers it up
switches
when you
it.
spin.
Yeah. So then he holds up his phone and he goes, I'm listening to you right now. I'm listening to the podcast right now. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then he goes, Mark Geragos lives in this neighborhood. And I said, yeah, he does. And he said he walked past here yesterday and yelled up, what a circus, because he had his guy on the roof hanging off. It was a two-story building, a two-story house, and he was painting the dormer windows at the top with a steep roof, and he took his Guatemalan guy, talk about white privilege, and like tied a rope to him and like hung him off. But Mark decided to comment out loud as he was walking down the street.
You guys are blowing this dude's mind. Who else can I conjure next?
Yeah.
What podcast should I listen to?
We're taking listeners one at a time.
All right, Mark, you're dismissed. I know you got a
Thank
heart
you.
out.
I got a heart out. Bye,
Thank
Gina.
you.
Bye, Bob.
Bye.
And we'll see you in Nashville or somewhere.
Yes.
I don't know, but have a good day, and thanks for hanging out. All right, let me hit Tommy John. Tommy John celebrating their 13th year. There's a party in your pants, and you're all invited. Celebrate with a new pair of Tommy Johns. Dozens of comfort innovations, breathable, lightweight, moisture-wicking fabric. 4 times the stretch of competing brands. Once you go with Tommy John, you're not going back. Tommy John doesn't have customers. They have fanatics. I'm wearing mine right now. I wear the Tommy John T-shirts and the Tommy John underwear all the time. The best, going for hikes, working out, riding the Soul Cycle, rowing machine, whatever. If you're being athletic, get those Tommy Johns on, especially. But also, they work so well. They fit so nicely under pants. They don't ride up. They don't get bunched up. It's the best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free. Guarantee, right? Awesome, Dawson.
Get 20% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/Adam. That's 20% off. Loungewear and underwear at TommyJohn.com/Adam. TommyJohn.com/Adam. See site for details.
All right. Well, we have March Madness, and we will do that right after this.
And now, a tip from the 1965 issue of Good Housekeeping. 120 ways to please a man.
A good wife is friendly. She smiles easily and she is pleasant to be with. She has many friends whom she entertains within her means, but she's careful to prevent social activities from interfering with her husband's rest, health, and efficiency.
Just one of 120 ways to please a man. Now back to the Adam Carolla Show.
Oh, Max Zapata, you moved my bell, man. I can't get to my bell. That's my secret power when it comes to March Madness. So we got waiters and tipping, and then we got let's see, Gillette, toxic masculinity. So it's down to it now.
Are you up for this?
You know,
are you going to have a stroke?
Well, it's tough because on most of these subjects, I have kind of one angle. It's here's my angle on tipping, or here's my angle on toxic masculinity. As we get deeper into the tournament, we have to come up with multiple angles and, try to limit the redundancy of jokes and ideas. So I found myself having to really try to dig deeper into the nuance or find different weird angles. And look, I will be transparent. We will veer away from the subject at hand to some degree in a simple quest to find new angles.
New material. Oh.
Are we ready? Awesome Dawson.
It's time for the conclusion of the collision of criticisms. The ranking of the raging, to find which peeve is sent packing and which complaint captures the crown. And also, it's time for a lot less alliteration as we wrap up the big rants of March Madness. Yesterday we had our Furious Four to narrow it down to the championship round. In a service industry smackdown, the minimum wage did not get maximum rage and got a snot rocket in their hopes to go all the way by waiters and tipping. And when pop culture conference champion Gillette's toxic masculinity ad faced off against the California conference winner Forest Lawn Flower Guys got razor burned and had to flee the tournament like they fled Central America. Which leaves us with our final round. 2 grievances enter, 1 grievance leaves. Which ire will inspire the best rant? It's Gillette's toxic masculinity ad versus waiters and tipping.
Waiters and tipping. Well, first off, this may be a California thing, but new rule for waiters. When I order my Denver omelet and my hash browns, you then ask me if I need ketchup, Tabasco, salt, or pepper. You ask then if I need it. Do not bring me the fucking hash browns and the Denver omelet and then ask me if I enjoy Tabasco, ketchup, salt, and pepper. By the way, when you order a fucking omelet and hash browns, everyone born wants ketchup and wants pepper and wants Tabasco and wants salt and pepper. They all want that. They all want it. So, because here's what the system we have now. We have a fucking pussy governor who shut everything down. We have to eat outside when it's cold. I have to stare at my ketchup-less hash browns and my Tabasco-less Denver omelet and wait and pray you remember to circle around and bring it back while I stare at the food. Inevitably, I cannot contain myself. I dig in, polish it off, and then the fucking ketchup shows up. So ask when I order. Or just assume every human being who gets hash browns wants fucking ketchup with it. Also, memory. What is going on with memory? Look at the diverse memory, the pageantry of memory that goes on with waiters. They come out there and they give you a 20-minute dissertation on the specials, always committed to memory. 5 pages of here's what the specials are, how the scallops are seared and what part of Nova Scotia they were harvested from, all that. So you have a wonderful memory, right? But then when I ask you for a fucking vodka soda lemon, you bring me a fucking lime and screw the pooch. Well, which is it? Do you have a memory or don't you have a memory? Are you fucking Elon Musk or a goddamn stroke victim? And let me tell you something about work. Actors is work. Oh, I love the fucking actors because all actors I know in this fucking city, they all worked as waiters. And they have the fucking temerity to look me in the eye, the grizzled eye of a man who's worked with his hands, and they go, oh, you've never been a waiter? Oh, you don't know how hard it is. You don't know it's so much fucking work. You're on your feet the entire time. Really? You're talking to a guy who crawled under fucking condemned houses and dug a footing with a fucking coffee can, and you had to bring cinnamon toast to a 9-year-old, and you're gonna fucking look me in the face and insult me? Oh, it's so much work. Work compared to what? Working in a fucking toll booth, you lazy sack of shit? All right, now, let's see. All right, that's all I got. I'm out of gas. Oh, it was dumb to figure out whether Dawson cues me up or not.
Gillette's toxic masculinity ad.
All right, listen, big corporations. Unfucking woke yourself. I'm so fucking tired of being preached at by these big fucking corporations who just go, all they want to do is fucking make money, but now they want to make you feel a certain way with the puppies and the love and the fucking Subarus. Stop trying to make me fucking feel some way. Make a better fucking product and unfucking wake yourself, would you please? And think about it. This started about 10 years ago with all the good vibes and all this stuff. These are corporations. It's trickled down to small businesses. When you go into a small business, they go, oh, we're going to donate $1 for every fucking used book sold to the Animal Rescue Club. How long before it just gets right down into the private sector? How long before Rick the plumber shows up to your house and explains to you his fucking pronouns and how plumbing makes him feel? Because that's where we're getting to now. We're going to go how the fucking dog walker tells you how they make everything feels. Knock it the fuck off with the touchy feeling. And Big Corp, stay the fuck out of it. I just read on SI today that they got a dude in the swimwear competition. The swimwear issue has a dude into it. Thanks, Sports Illustrated. And let me tell you this. It's well known that Gillette, you guys make all your shit in either China or Mexico. So don't give me this good vibes. There's fucking ethnic cleansing going on in the places you're setting up business, and the coyotes are running fentanyl in the other place. And a lot of people say, well, ease up, Ace. Maybe they're just making those razors in China and in Mexico for the men who work and live in China and Mexico. Well, it is well known. It is documented that Chinese men cannot grow facial hair, so they do not need it. And Mexican men can only grow mustaches. So cry me a fucking river.
Oh,
Wow.
I'm exhausted.
I'm sweating.
I got to tell you, Gina, analyzing these matchups has been a real treat. And it's
Agreed.
poetic that it comes down to a matchup of something so mundane as wagers and tipping versus a commentary on where our society is at. The toxic masculinity, as this is a real, dichotomy of stances.
You're absolutely right. And to piggyback on that, they both become these two titans. And I got to tell you, the toxic masculinity, all the good points were hit. A few new ones were discovered. I don't want to know how the plumber feels. I think that's a great point. The good vibes and taking it broader and saying, you're all about good vibes. What's happening in the country that manufactures those good vibes? That's a great question. But I got to tell you, through and through and through, waiters and tipping hit every note, from the condiments to forgetting the order when you're supposed to be a Shakespearean trained actor, to the image of Adam digging under a condemned house with a coffee can. My heart still is being pulled toward waiters and tipping.
Yeah, the bringing it back to the personal, it really animated Adam at the end there. Maybe ended with a bit of a whimper. However, the dubious science at the end of the Chinese men cannot grow facial
Look it up.
Yeah. Both strong.
I've heard of a Fu Manchu, but I don't get stuck in the mire
subject for another time.
I enjoyed the bringing in the stroke. As a stroke victim myself, Gina, I enjoyed bringing in the stroke victim to the waiters and tipping. I'm leaning towards waiters and tipping. I can't believe they're going to, something as mundane as waiters and tipping may make this whole thing.
And to anyone who didn't hear the March Madness and just sees the results, you got to go back and listen to how we got there.
Congratulations, waiters and tipping, the winner of the championship round of March Madness.
Not to get lost in the rants on toxic
done.
masculinity. Please keep using unwoke yourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone's getting into
You really
Yeah,
That was a great competition between you and you.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
You gave you all you can handle.
There's only winners.
Thank you. I'll go console myself in the locker room, at least the losing side. So we have Chris got on this, and we have the list of hot guys.
Oh, God.
I spent way too much time Googling hot guys.
That the staff,
I'm
is
sitting
into.
back. I can't wait to enjoy this.
Yeah, because I want to know who males are into. The females, it's easy, been there and done that. I want to know who the dudes are into, and I guess who the straight dudes are into. Oh. Speaking of hot guys, I was this close. You know, Sonny and I were trying to watch a movie last night. Like we had this moment where I was standing in his doorway at like 9:15, and I was going, "All right, what movie do you want to watch?" He's like, "I don't know, something good, you know." And then I thought about it, and I was thinking about all these movies and movies he hasn't seen, and then I stumbled upon The Rock. And I said,
Solid.
"Oh, we need to see The Rock with Kaylin's dad." And he's like, "Oh,
yes."
He's like, it's a bad movie." I'm like, "No." And he's like, it's a good bad movie." And I'm like, "No, it's just a good movie,
It's
and
the kind
you'll
of
love it."
better than it should have been. Like
Right.
that could have been a crappy movie, and it's actually pretty good.
Right. So then I basically made my case for The Rock. I got him sold on The Rock. I got pumped up on The Rock. And as I turned to walk down the hall to go down to the movie theater, Natalia came bursting into the house and announced that her and her friend had dibbed the movie theater for the night. And I said to Sonny, "All right, well, you just bought yourself 24 hours on watching The Rock."
The Rock.
And he was like, "Good." And he's such a fucking snob. He went back in his room. But
Have you showed him The Usual Suspects yet?
yeah, we saw The Usual Suspect. We've seen a lot of good stuff. But it's
Has he seen Heat?
I think he's seen a lot on his own, and he's seen some with me. But it's time to introduce him to the majesty that is The Rock. So that shall be.
I
tonight.
like the lack of toxic masculinity in your house. Natalia announces it, and you guys back off, and everything's right with the world.
I know who's in charge.
Yeah. Well, you want to. First off, trying to get.
I don't want to go up against
Trying to get
Natalia.
Natalia out of a theater, like a front seat that she's claimed in the name of Spain, is like trying to get a cougar into a burlap sack. I mean, good fucking luck. Like you're going to get your cornea torn.
Yep.
Yeah.
The one example I remember is she must have been 11, 10 maybe. And when we went to Vegas and Winnebago, she had me holding my phone, about to call my program director to tell him I wasn't coming into work the next day because she wanted me to stay in Vegas. I was a half a second from pushing that because she is so convincing.
I know. And she'll do it. You know, she can. For you, she's got two modes. She'll sweetheart you to death, or the claws will come out. But either way,
The angel and the devil.
Yeah.
it's effective. So then she said, I need the theater with my friend. And I was like, to watch TV? Because she watches TV in the theater. And she said no, but she could have been lying. And I said, because she said, go watch your movie upstairs, like in the living room. And I said, well, this is a movie. So if you're going to watch TV, watch the TV in the living room. Remember all these discussions you'd have as a youth with your parents?
Echoing.
I've heard this a million times.
You watch it on the 95-inch TV that's in the living room instead of the 20-foot screen that's downstairs. But she just said, we're watching a movie. Here's how you know. By the way, I feel this way as a parent, and I feel this way as like a California taxpayer. At a certain point, like 9:45, I did that move where I was in my office, and I was like, I'm going to go down there and see if she's watching a movie or not. And then I was like, oh, fuck it.
What does it matter?
Yeah, I'll just watch the rest of the Love Boat and call it a
At this
night.
point.
Yeah. All right. Let me tell you about Signalwire. We're over a year into this forced experiment with remote work. With normalcy, I should say, in sight. Oh, thank God. It's time for business to reflect and plan the future. Companies need to give employees the flexibility they now demand without sacrificing productivity or company culture. Signalwire brand new remote office platform. Scheduled video meetings plus it's super quick, informal, unscheduled interactions as well. It's such a crazy platform and crazy technology. I was on it with these guys a couple days back, and it's first off, I don't even know why you would need to go into work anymore with Signalwire. Do everything from wherever you are. From startups to Fortune 100 investment firms, smart businesses are using Signalwire. Sign up before April 30th in Signalwire. And by the way, at signalwire.com. Use the code ADAM, and Signalwire will buy lunch for your first team meeting. Just check it out. You will be blown away by the technology. Right, Dawson?
See signalwire.com for terms and conditions. Go to signalwire.com today and use code ADAM. That's signalwire.com.
All right, we'll take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with all the hot dudes that the straight dudes at Carolla Digital are into right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Brian here. I have to say that March Madness is tremendous, outrageous, and goddamn do more of it. It's fucking beautiful. Thank you, Adam.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Thank you, caller. All right. We have... It's interesting, not to blow any sunshine up my own took-eye, but I learned this thing many years ago when I was taking a groundlings class with Cynthia Seghetti. God rest her soul. She was the hard-ass teacher over there. And,
who was not sympathetic to your breakup.
No, not at all. And it was during a writing lab, and she would say, everyone's got 10 minutes to put together a premise, write some beats down, and then get up and deliver a monologue based on the premise. And she wouldn't even say any premise. She'd say the premise is you're talking to someone through glass. So I remember actually coming up with an air traffic controller, and nice. And I remember sitting there going, 10 minutes to put this kind of thing would take days to put together and memorize and rehearse and stuff like that. And she's like, y'all have 10 minutes. And my first impulse is, that's impossible. And then I watched everyone do a really good job of putting this stuff together. And I thought it's then when I kind of realized, I was like, I think we're capable of a lot more if you have a Cynthia Seghetti pushing you a little bit. And when we were doing March Madness, I didn't even know really what we were doing at the beginning. But then when I started to ingest it and digest it, and I started to think, oh, wait a minute, I have to have 5 different angles on the same premise. I was like, oh, how the fuck's that going to work? But then I just sort of started pushing myself a little bit. And you'll find that if you start pushing yourself a little bit, you'd be really surprised on what comes out and what you can find. Yeah. All right. So Gary's first.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Chris for that.
Okay. And listen, Chris, I don't know. We can't have a bunch of no names that, some white rapper out of Detroit who we've never heard of kind
You're
of
not
guy.
going to have that problem with mine.
All right.
So for mine, well, just since you referenced rappers, one of mine is a rapper, actor, and writer, TV show creator, Donald Glover. Who I brought up on the show before.
Good. Attractive man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think bumped up by how talented he is. He's, he can literally do everything in entertainment. My other one is really kind of down the center here. I don't think controversial. Chris Hemsworth. Handsome man. And eventually these pictures will go up. And Frank Grillo is my third one.
Yeah, we love Frank.
Recently featuring Boss Level.
Yeah, if you combine this dude, this would be a real contender for like Mr. Universe.
Yeah, these are all very strong choices with some diversity.
With some strong jawlines.
Yeah, good-looking beards. All right, a good first offering. Emmy has now got his candidates as well. Is he coming in?
Gina, how enjoyable is this?
This is fantastic. I'm having a great time.
All right, so my 3 are going to be Matt Bomer, Colton Haynes.
Hold on. I don't know who Matt. Does anyone know
You
Matt
will,
Bomer?
yes.
I don't know. I don't know the name.
From
White
Magic Mike and
Collar.
other things.
Or
Magic Mike.
Colton
He's the
Hayes?
Ken-
Colton Hayes
Kendall.
is from the show Arrow.
Oh, Arrow. Sure, yeah. I got the Blu-ray. I got the box set.
Yes.
All right, you guys. We have to know these names.
Oh, sorry.
Third choice.
The last
This
one's going to
neighbor
be
Chad.
a reach in the past. It's Chris O'Donnell.
Oh.
Okay.
From
Matt Bomer. Oh, yeah, Chris O'Donnell. Robin.
That's right.
Batman and
That's
Robin.
why I picked him.
Is this somehow
Matt Bomer
Yeah.
out, which may be helpful or not. I don't know.
Oh, he's out.
He's out.
I was about to say your list is much gayer than Gary's, but I wasn't even thinking about the guys.
Well, Matt Bomer and Colton
Sexuality.
Hayes are both gay.
Oh.
So
Pretty
I might as well
boys.
start
Oh,
off
yeah.
Smart.
with a lead.
Very pretty choices.
Pretty boys. Yeah.
Right.
Very pretty.
Now, wait a second. Oh, right. I guess we are. Now, here's an interesting question, which I probably should have brought up, which is, are we allowed, we're allowed to pick dead people, but are we allowed to pick different versions of,
You're gonna
of
like
people?
you're gonna like my list.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Because you have different I mean, what I'm
Yes.
saying is I would put Cher from 1969 on my list, but she's still alive. But all right,
Oh,
interesting.
buddy, you're speaking my language. We're on the same page.
All right. Nice offering, Emmy.
Thank you.
I would tell you to get back to work, but no one here knows what you do. So
Including Andy.
get back to. Well, you heat up leftovers, right? Is that you do everything?
Professionally?
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, Emmy comes in and reminds everyone to eat because he puts his shit in the microwave, and then when you walk past it, you go, "Oh, I smell stroganoff," and then all of a sudden you go, "What's for lunch?"
Yeah, his important role.
That's right.
When you ask your question, Adam, is there a greater example of that than Marlon Brando?
Right. Yes.
So that's a good question.
All right. So Brian, go ahead.
Okay. Sorry. Chris just sent me a message. Okay, so I went with 3 choices of guys you forgot were hot. And funny you should mention, Gina. The first choice is Marlon Brando. This is a beautiful movie. Chris, do you have a mosaic of everyone together? Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay. Oh. That's a beaut. Jesus Christ, that's the most handsome man ever lived.
Yes.
It's like looking at the sun. It's almost too hard.
Yeah. Yeah, he's beautiful.
Brando smoldering.
And all man. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like your angle of guys we forgot were hot.
Because you think of Marlon Brando, you think of the bloated blob from the end of his life. And oh no, Brando was a handsome hunk of meat. Speaking of which, let's not forget, we all know the Mickey Rourke of today. But Mickey Rourke in his early days, Diner, Body Heat, Angel Heart, was a beautiful specimen. Put up some Mickey Rourke.
Yeah. Yeah, had the hair. Yeah.
Hair,
Cigarette.
the look, the devil
Remember,
attitude.
Remember a simpler time in this society where guys got better looking by smoking cigarettes?
Yes.
We're looking at the guy.
I know. Now you get a rock thrown at you from a passing car. All right.
And
Yeah,
finally-
Rourke is good. Yeah.
Finally, a deeper cut, although Adam, you'll know who this is. Gina, have you ever heard the name Jason Seahorn?
Oh,
Yes,
good.
why?
Deep.
Oh, you might know he married Angie Harmon, but he was
Yes.
most
He's a
famous for
football
being
player.
a professional football player.
Yeah.
Let's look at Jason Seahorn real quick. Gina's going to enjoy this.
Oh,
just
my
a
God.
specimen of a man. Gina, this man was the last starting white quarterback in the NFL. He returned punts. Do you understand what kind of athlete you have to be
I
to
don't.
return punts as a
No.
white guy in the NFL? Adam, you talk about I'd like to squeeze this guy and see how much funny I can get out of him, or squeeze him and see how much, compress him and see how much, talent we can get out. I'm going to say something that you're going to snicker at, and then you're going to think about and go, fuck, the bald guy might be right. Jason Seahorn is the greatest white athlete ever to play professional football. I'm not saying he has the accomplishments of like a Tom Brady, that's apples and oranges. This fucking dude started at cornerback. This fucking dude returned punts. Look at the specimen.
So you're factoring that into his hotness.
He's working a
Because I'm
lot.
not.
We're a strong racial angle here with
Yes.
Seahorn. But I will say this about Seahorn. Seahorn, first off, Angie Harmon is one of the best looking people on the planet too.
Agreed.
So their
Agreed.
fucking kids better be 10s and a half, or I will be devastated.
That's a good point.
Now, we all know, Christy Brinkley and Billy Joel. Look, we're not holding the kid responsible for that. That's a yin and a yang. I get it. But when you have two of the best examples of the sex that they represent. I mean, Angie Harmon is arguably one of the hottest looking, at age 31, best looking woman on the planet. Then you have Seahorn. Seahorn had wheels, man. I mean, he was a fast dude, and he did return punts, and the Giants coach was heavily criticized because he was returning punts during the preseason and blew out his knee.
Fucked up his knee. And he came back and started at cornerback as a white dude. This is the greatest white athlete ever to play. Plus, he also did this. Put up the video clip if you can, Chris. We got
the whole presentation.
All right, we got to see it. Oh, he did this.
McNabb again over center. Drops straight back. Giants on a blitz. McNabb hit as he throws. Swings it right. And the pass nearly and is intercepted by Seahorn. He's got it on the run. Down the left sideline.
That was the greatest interception ever. Yeah. That's right.
He batted it first. Somehow it did not hit the ground. And then he captured it, took it down the far sideline. Jason Seahorn gives the Giants a 16-0 lead.
Strahan, yeah.
That's some Globetrotter shit he just did.
Yeah, he was great. All right. Good offerings, Brian.
My list.
Inspired. Matt, Porcelain Punisher.
What up, boss?
What's going on, man?
Doing good. I didn't know I was supposed to bring clips with me.
Brian, always going above and beyond.
Well, my first one's number one.
From his kitchen, of course, never in the studio, but still going above and beyond. Yes.
First one is, I would say he's a quadruple threat. He can sing, he can dance, he can act. He's also got an Australian accent. Talking about Hugh Jackman.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Yes.
He is a bit of all right. Yeah.
Number two, I think most of this country would agree with me because he was recently voted sexiest man alive. Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Matt's 2 for 2.
Yeah.
And then number three, it's not often that you get to regularly interact with one of the hottest guys in the world, but I happen to produce a show that he's a co-host of. Eric Stromer.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
Stromer.
The Holy Trinity.
Stromer's in a kind of a Ken doll kind of way. A very good looking dude.
And when you think Stromer, you think, also ballroom dancer, also cooks homemade meals 3 times a day for his family.
He plays guitar before every show. It's
of course
we're sweating in here.
The worst.
And good looking. and a good carpenter. Yeah, that's I like it. Keeping it in house.
I'm profiling, but he has to surf. Look at that hair.
It'd be a shame if he didn't.
Says Gary. Yeah.
There you go.
And a little bit goofy and all around good guy, which will add some points to. All right, good offerings,
Nice.
Matt. Kaylin has Kaylin got.
All right,
his
yep,
offer?
I got my pick. I'm just going to do it from my office here. My number one is actor, all around badass, and he's got the accent to go with it. Tom Hardy.
Sure, yeah.
Beautiful lips.
Yeah.
Number two, he's kind of a quiet hero in the nerd community, but it's Superman himself, Henry Cavill.
Oh, that was going to be Brian.
Traditional.
Yeah,
and then
Please be Michael Bean.
number three is just a handsome fellow. It's quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
Can't go wrong. Strong chins all around.
Yeah. Cannot go wrong with Garoppolo, man. Yeah, it's a good call. All right, good,
And I'm
good offerings. Yeah.
I don't mean to shit on Brian's offering because really strong stuff. But if you take the football element and the 8-pack out of this equation, Garoppolo way hotter than Seahorn.
As a model, Garoppolo would probably do better in the profession, but
Yeah.
when you factor everything in,
Got it.
come on.
Also, Seahorn, you're looking at sort of 90s pictures of Seahorn, and you don't realize that, or go back and look at some of the hot chicks from the 80s and see, like, oh, her hair's
like
fucked
her hair.
up. Right, yeah. It's like,
I didn't like the blue eyeshadow.
Right. Oh, right. Let's see. We got Ryan, intern Ryan.
Yep. So Kalen stole one of mine. I'm going Jimmy Garoppolo, Brad Pitt, very classic, and Gosling. Actually, no. Scratch Gosling. John Hamm. Mad Men era John Hamm. Just
the hammer.
Ryan.
And
Yes.
I know John personally, and some of these guys disappoint in person because they're diminutive. They're like little guys, you know, and they're all cute, but when you see them, it's like boy band kind of stuff. Like it looks good. Photographs look good. Hammy is 6'2", 6'3", and he's all man. So he's not a little guy.
If we're objectifying right now, which I think we are, speaking of Hammy, don't forget that classic paparazzi pic of John just swinging long and low down the street.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's got some junk in the boot, not in the trunk. Yeah. It's up front. That's right. All right. Uninspired, Ryan, but thank you for your time anyway.
Speaking of paparazzi and John Hamm, when he was over here looking, and you gave him a tour of your car museum, Mike August was here too. And August wanted to snap some pics, but kind of be indiscreet about it. He didn't want to get in your guys' way. So you guys are walking around, and August is like has his phone out at his hip and just taking pictures of you. But his flash was on every picture. Every picture, his flash went off.
Oh, that sounds like Mike.
That's on brand.
Yeah, I did one of my things, which is I went to his house. If you ask me, I'll go to your house and. If you're an A-lister, obviously. Yeah. And I'll just walk through it for an hour and they go, I was thinking about building a trellis out here. We wanted to redo the kitchen. And I just walked through Ham's house. And I think I gave him one of those tours, or he gave me one of those tours. All right. We have Chris and Awesome Dawson left.
Yes. All right. So for my three, I thought this one was pretty obvious. Michael B. Jordan. As one of them. Yeah. And because like he was in Black Panther, and even when he had all those spots all over him, I still thought, still hot.
Like a brick shithouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then I put Jason Momoa on there because I felt like I needed a bigger dude.
Speaking of brick shithouse.
Yeah. And then I picked, do you watch Queer Eye? Have you ever seen it?
I do.
There's a guy named Anthony on it. And every time I watch Queer Eye, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a good looking dude.
Yeah. Wow, diverse, very diverse, and I agree with all. I'm looking at all the pictures. It's a very you're spot on.
Yeah, you know how we used to play those games like which house would you be quarantined with if you had to pick, and there was like 3 or 4 guys. Like this was mine.
Wow, well done.
All right, and last but not least, Dawson.
Well, it appears I have daddy issues, as you'll see. I did have John Hamm on my list, but I'm going to go ahead and strike him so we don't repeat. And I'm going to say in third place, a very specific Jeff Bridges. Kaylin will throw that up there. In second place, we're going Kevin Costner.
Oh.
That dude just gets better looking every single year. You know, you start back in the Fandango and Bull Durham. That was a handsome man.
Yeah.
But even recently with Yellowstone, he's a badass. He's a damn good looking dude.
And I'll tell you from personal experience again, not a little dude, an athlete. And like I said, several years ago, we were hanging around in his Ventura County ranch, and he was chucking bombs to Sonny. Throwing, it's kind of one thing to chuck an undersized ball like a Nerf or even a Pop Warner size. You get the Duke, you get the NFL ball. That's kind of a big ball. That ball was traveling 60 yards in the air. He was just chucking them in this field. That guy's an athlete. So and his band is good too. So that's a good
strong.
That's strong.
But the winner in my book, the sexiest man alive, is Sam Elliott. Look at that duster.
We'll find the picture of Sam Elliott. Hey, mijo. Yeah.
Dawson, I know that you and my fiance have a little bit of a side thing going on, but it might also intrigue you to know that he does a lot of Sam Elliott impersonation stuff for professionally.
Oh, really?
You got to be able to grow a mustache to do that.
Yeah. Sam Elliott, does he... I mean, other than acting and like voiceover and stuff, he's not like Chris Christopherson, who may have been left off the list for a lot of people here, because that guy was beautiful in his day and wrote great songs too, and an actor. Sam Elliott, does he write? Does he sing? Does he write songs?
No idea.
Yeah, I don't think so. I really don't think so. He did play. In the remake of A Star Is Born, he played the He played the older brother, of the star.
You know, yes, some notable absentees from the list. Getting back to young Nick Nolte. Check out your Nick Nolte from a movie like The Deep or something, like young blonde Nick Nolte. That guy was a bit of all right.
You know who else would be good for Dawson's era list, and who, by the way, is a very renowned playwright and very handsome, especially in his day? Sam Shepard.
Yeah, that's good. Are you guys bothered? I'll tell you, I like good-looking people. I have no qualm with good-looking people. But I have found in the looks department, one of the professions that are the best looking department, photographers, men and women. They're probably former models or something. It's probably why. But they're oftentimes very handsome or very striking or very good looking. There's something about, they're into the aesthetic. They keep themselves well put together. You know, you don't see a lot of like fat, sloppy, that old tub of goo photographer I had to work with. They're very angular. They're very down with the fashion. It's their business. Like, I get it. But it's super fucking annoying being photographed by someone who's better looking than you.
Yeah, by hot person.
Every fucking time I would do a photo shoot, the fucking photographer was great looking, and they'd be taking pictures of me, and all I could think of, we should take pictures of you. That's all I could think of. Now, maybe it's my low self-esteem, but I would like a sloppy, fat photographer, and who I could remind that camera is facing the right direction, bros. Yeah, sorry, Gina, you were going to say what?
No, you're absolutely right about that. I know a lot of people who photograph bands for a living and like live shows, and you're absolutely right. They're hot, and you're right. Like, they are coming out on another side of the industry. So they add insult to injury by not dressing hot, which somehow makes them hotter. You know what I mean? Like a slouchy t-shirt and a scarf gingerly thrown around the neck.
Yeah, it's one of the hottest professions there is. All right. Good offerings from everyone. Let me tell you about public.com. And I just joined public.com, the investing social network where you can buy stocks for any amount and share ideas with a community of investors. So I talk to these guys, and the idea here is it's a little intimidating, the stock market, and people are hesitant to get involved, and they don't know. This is more of a social network where you can buy stocks, and you can do it for any amount, and then you also get all the ideas and the feedback of the community. It's easy. It's not intimidating for people that are looking to get into this realm of finance. Public.com. Free to use, no account minimums. Get started with as little as $1. When you invest with public.com, you never invest alone. They make it easy to collaborate and build and get your confidence as an investor. Go to public.com/Adam to follow me on public.com and see what I'm investing in. Again, this is for people who want to get into this realm, but have been kind of intimidated from, watching movies like Wall Street and stuff. They really make it easy. Public.com, right, Dawson?
You can start investing today with as little as $1. You'll even get a free slice of stock when you join. Just go to public.com/Adam to download the public.com app. Valid for U.S. residents 18 and over, subject to account approval. Subject to account approval, see public.com/disclosures, not investment advice.
All right, we'll take ourselves a quick break. We'll come back and do the news with Gina and Bald right after this.
Give me the news with Grad. News with Gina Grad. Breaking, viral, weird crime, protest, politics. Give me news with Gina Grad. Stuff they saw on TMZ. Joe Biden, Kamala. Meet news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
Well, we have some somewhat big breaking local news, and I don't know if you guys have heard it yet because I thought it might come up with Geragos, but Governor Newsom has said that California is ready to fully reopen its economy by June 15th if vaccine and hospitalization numbers remain stable like they are. California is set to surpass more than 20 million vaccine doses administered. The two specific criteria for fully reopening on June 15th are vaccine supply must be sufficient for Californians ages 16 and older, and hospitalizations rates must remain stable and low. With the full reopening, everyday activities will be allowed. Businesses can reopen. Of course, they'll do, common sense, wear your mask or whatever measures. But other than that, that's the set date. The state will continue contact tracing and testing to detect early cases and contain the spread. But that is the new target date to get things back to normal.
Well, I was watching the news last night, and I think the Rangers game was at full capacity. Like Texas
sure as shit was.
I don't know if they had 39,000, but it was full. So again, my whole thing is see if there's a big hot spot. I mean, we all know the answer. Texas said fuck everything a month ago, and there's nothing going on. So we already have our answer. My feeling is like, let's do it tomorrow, douche. LA County had one person die yesterday. I think I heard the data out of I know we're talking about California.
It was one, yeah.
But out of 10 million people, one fucking person and probably tripped on a COVID ladder or something and died. But either way, all right, it's done.
Those?
Why? And also, I know you said June what?
15th.
June 15th. We've all been so indoctrinated into this thing. Imagine just going back in time 5 years for the sake of it, and it's early April. It's the beginning of April, and somebody said, "Hey, good news! June 15th, we'll be able to, you'll be able to go to the gym or like whatever it is." You'd be like, "Fucking June 15th! That's the summer. That's a long. My kids will be out of school." Like,
no.
It used to feel like a lot that. At the beginning of April, June 15th feels like we're heading toward the 4th of July. That seems like a long ways away. Yes.
And then you say, no, June 15th of next year.
Right. Oh, well, that would have been X amount. Yeah. Right. But what I'm saying is I know he's excited about June 15th. That's still kind of a long ways away. I mean, I think the Dodgers are, and I don't know what he's going to do, but I think the Dodgers are like 33% capacity. June 15th is, 40 home games or whatever the fuck it is with 500,000 people not going to see a Dodger game. Who could?
Yes. But you know what the other good news is? That means that we have completely razed to the ground the stupid coding system, the color coding system. Yeah. That means that will be done. I mean, we're all in, orange now or, whatever that means to you. But by June 15th, we get to just let go of that as though it never existed.
Was I telling you? I think I was telling you, but I'm so enamored with the notion of eating indoors now that I now, every time I walk in a restaurant, I'm like, I'd like to be indoors because in the past, I would have liked to eat on the patio. That was a treat. I'm so fucking patioed out that I now want to go indoors. All right. Yeah. Well, good for us. We'll be the last place to open.
Of course. And that means on a personal note, I am back to taking this this very serious and sacred wedding situation more seriously. And I have an appointment with a Jewish wedding coordinator that specializes in interfaith weddings. So we'll see what comes of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I'd like to throw a couple of traditions in there and not have to be the one to explain it to the, coordinator.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of amber beads around the neck of that broad.
And I fail to see the problem.
When you say there's certain jobs where I can see the person.
Yes.
Like when you go, when somebody does we have a diversity counselor who's going to come and explain to the people. I'm like, oh, I can see her now. I can just see her.
But I want my fictitious Jewish wedding interfaith coordinator to have amber beads and possibly not wear shoes.
Well, I don't want to. I'm not an interfaith wedding coordinator, but I will. I do have opinions on this.
Please.
Okay, because I've been to the dual shit before.
Yeah.
The deal is you kids fight it out to see how much of your fakakta religion and how much of his fakakta religion make it into the final cut.
Yep.
We're not doing two fucking separate things.
Oh, no.
I've been to those fucking things before where it's like, well, now it's her turn to come up. And this is the worst part of the wedding, and it's lasting twice as long. The fucking There's a carving station over there, and it's getting cold.
Getting cold. You're right.
Shot clock.
Right. That's it.
I will. Yes, you're absolutely right. I tell you what we will defer to when it comes to how long the wedding lasts, the Jews. That shit is 10 minutes. It's not a Catholic wedding. Doesn't last all day.
Yeah, but I'll tell you that there's also a problem with the Jews, which you're probably aware of. the vicars of Christ, the Catholic guys, they're not failed stand-up comedians. Jews are all they all want to be a stand-up comedian. So they get that audience and they start with a couple of lukewarm jokes, and they're always working the audience a little bit.
Hey, where are you from?
I hate to agree with you, but I will tell you, and it was welcome-ish at the time. Guess where that also happened? My father's graveside service.
It's also a weird thing. So when I told you guys years ago when my manager's assistant died, or autoerotic asphyxiation, worst funeral ever, 24-year-old kid, sweet kid, blah, blah, blah. And everyone had to speak. Well, everyone who had to speak was sort of from the industry. Lots of Jews. He was Jewish. Howard was Jewish. His management team represented, comedians and people like that. So you just get up there and someone hands you a microphone and there's an audience and your brain doesn't know you're at a fucking funeral. You're at the Friars Club now. And it's like they can't stop working. The best speeches are made by the, stepdad who's a nerd, who's a electronics engineer and works for Boeing or something, where he's just handshaking a little and he's like, I just like to wish Tammy and Ben the best, Chaim,
microphone drift.
Right, the back. Yeah, someone has to keep hitting his elbow. He'd rather be anywhere. That's who you're looking for. Jews too comfortable with a mic in their hand.
That's true. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, keep that in mind. I'll make sure that's something.
I'll keep that in mind.
Well,
keep
look,
the forefront.
Here's the deal. You got a tight 20 minutes, okay?
Agreed.
You do 10 minutes from his religion, 10 from yours, or whack it up however the fuck you want. Go 19 from yours and 1 from his, but we got 10. I'll be in the back. I'll be in the back of the church. I'll give you the flashlight at 18.
The church.
Or the synagogue or whatever, the fucking park. I'll give you the light at 18. That means you got 2 minutes.
Start lighting up.
You got to bring it home.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you'll appreciate this. I can assure you that will happen because I am Jewish and he doesn't have a religion. So it won't be obnoxious whenever it comes about. Okay.
I'll light you at 18.
Thank you. Major League Baseball.
I'll have Matt do it. I'm not going to get up.
You're right. You'll have a drink in your hand.
Right.
And I still like the park, even though Brian thinks that's awful. Not like the next to the slides, but like I just like outdoor events. Before all this COVID shit, anyway. I want a brunch wedding. That Major League Baseball is reportedly relocating its All-Star game to Coors Field in Denver. The game, which has been scheduled for July 13th at Truist Park in Atlanta, was pulled by Commissioner Rob Manfred in protest of new Georgia law restrictions. But Denver Mayor Michael Hancock says, we're proud to welcome the game and to talk about the progressive voting system in Denver that is bent on making sure no one is abridged from their right to vote. And yes, this is about baseball.
It's funny that it's Coors Field and they're moving it from like a predominantly black city to an all-white city, which is funny. Also, we can look it up and we'll do it in a future episode. But I think Denver has many of the same restrictions Atlanta is imposing or Georgia's imposing as well, or Colorado does. So it's all kind of weird and moot, but okay. But also, no one, not no one, but like Stacey Abrams is saying like, well, we support the boycott, but let's not take all this money out of this city with all these black-owned businesses. There's not a lot of black-owned businesses in Denver, Colorado. There are many in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And
that's, yeah.
And you're taking $100 million worth of revenue and bringing it to Whitey's doorstep. All the concessions and hotels and you know all the ancillary clubs and and eateries and you're just moving it. You're making the statement, but who are you helping really?
Well, yeah, you're doubling down on punishing the people who already felt marginalized.
Yes, that's right. Now they can be broke and marginalized.
Right. Harvey Weinstein's lawyers have filed to appeal his rape conviction. On Monday, his lawyers filed documents to overturn the conviction. According to CNBC, they argue that Weinstein was denied his right to be tried by an impartial jury and was denied his right to a fair trial because jurors were allowed to hear claims of serious sexual misconduct by him that were not the subject of this specific charge, and that defense experts were improperly barred from testifying on the subject of memory and sexual events.
Well, let me say this. I don't want to defend Weinstein.
Oh, boy.
But
I don't know.
If you were in the joint, you could do a lot worse in the cellmate department.
Sure.
I mean, most guys are like, I stabbed my Nana when I was 19 and I can't fucking spell. He could tell you stories about Gwyneth Paltrow that, would fucking give you a boner for 3 days, right?
What a great lay she was.
Or just going when I was in Cannes and I was hanging out with the cast from James Bond and we all went to the casino. And you could just sit, that guy would just tell stories. How many stories does that fucking guy have, versus the guy who's the drifter junkie, stabbed the guy at the liquor store and he's there for his life. A tale
as old as time.
Right. Yeah. You can only tell that story once or twice, right?
Yeah, but I think you're right. I think Weinstein does have enough stories to go the distance of a 23-year prison sentence.
Oh, definitely.
And you're always looking for fresh Jack material in the joint. Right. You know what I mean? So, talking about some A-listers and, being naked.
Some ficuses.
It's that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Be interesting. I don't think he's coming after you in the joint. Obviously, you're not his groove, right?
You'd fight him off pretty easily, I think. He's got the walker.
He's infirmed.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's who you want is your mate. That guy's going to have stories.
That's a very good point.
Who really wrote Good Will Hunting? I'd like to know. Tell me, Harvey.
Yeah, right. There you go. Exactly. Matt Damon really did. How come he's not written anything since then if he got an Oscar for that? Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Well, embattled.
Now, hold on. There's probably a more than good chance that Harvey's cellmate is the drifter junkie who stabbed the guy who works at the liquor store. So he's probably not going to take as deep a dive on Good Will Hunting.
Not a big
screen
Miramax
credits.
fan.
Right. It's a good. Right. But he'd strike pay dirt with Weinstein.
That's right. I think this is one of the words we talked about the other day that you'll know you had a successful or sort of an interesting life if they put this in front of your name. Embattled Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida pushed back against allegations of sex trafficking. He wrote an op-ed article published Monday that says he's not a criminal and is absolutely not resigning. Gaetz wrote an article published in the Washington Examiner and said, "Since I'm taking my turn under the gun, let me address allegations against me directly. First, I have never ever paid for sex. And second, I, as an adult man, have not slept with a 17-year-old. Gaetz claimed he's being targeted because he decided to take on the most powerful institutions in the Beltway, the establishment, the FBI, the Biden Justice Department, the Cheney political dynasty, even the Justice Department under Trump. And the Justice Department opened this probe into Gaetz after his friend was charged with sex trafficking. That's Joel Greenberg. He has pleaded not guilty."
Well,
did you end up watching the Tucker interview?
Yeah, I certainly saw snippets of it. It seemed unhinged or weird or surreal or something. I'll ask off the mic when I see Tucker in a week and a half or whenever the hell we're going out to Florida. Hopefully we're flying with Geragos on his big jet out to Nashville, and then we'll blah blah blah. So I'll ask him. Yeah, Gaetz, he's got that look. He looks like a cartoon character. He seems like the kind of guy who would do it. He's got a lot of energy and he's a lot of certitude.
Yes,
so, and I never know when people, you know who had a lot of certitude. God, I can't even. Stormy Daniels' attorney. Remember that guy? Avenatti just rolled into the studio and fucking took the ladies from The View by hook or by crook. He's like just preening, and this guy got everything on this guy. He's going to, and we respond to certitude like it was insanity. Like Avenatti was a shyster, criminal, whatever the fuck he was. I mean, he just turned out to be the worst person in the world, but he rolled in. You got to have the right jawline. You know what I mean? You have to have the right kind of jawline and the right eyes. You have to look. You can't just say it. You have to kind of look it and kind of live it. But he just rolled in with all that certitude, and everyone just kind of went, I guess he's right. He must be right. Gaetz has some of that. So he doesn't do the, speak to my spokesperson or something. He pushes.
Front and center.
Now we'll see. As I really have no idea what the story is, but I guess we're going to find out.
Well, don't you think, because I know he's sort of beyond SNL right now, but do you know who would have played a great Gaetz? Bill Hader.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's already got...
Weekend Update anchor look like him?
Yeah, Colin Jost.
I don't know.
He looks like him in that he's a good-looking white guy, and then if you just put the hair,
he's got the furrowed brow.
They all look the same to Brian.
Put the hair on him.
But also the others. I mean, there's lots of these side stories coming out, and one of them is, and because I would imagine it's a very frat boy environment on Capitol Hill, but that Gaetz either participated in or created this point system for, if you have sex with an, a lobbyist or a representative, and there was this whole point system that he created that he was very proud of, or at least proud to participate in. Of course, he denies that, but I could see that kind of like frat behavior happening in Capitol Hill.
I would see it happening everywhere. I mean, that's the way this country used to work. I mean, if you worked for GM and there was a hot new receptionist, it's a competition, so you could bang her first. I mean, that's just the way. That's the way this country used to be. By the way, I'm sure many a receptionist has married many an executive based loosely on that theorem. Pete Davidson played him on SNL.
He did. And that is a great transition to my next story. Another man who has played Matt Gaetz, Pete Davidson, has a new girlfriend.
She's going to be so hot. Ugh.
It doesn't disappoint.
No.
Now, you won't be familiar with her work, but most other people will. He is dating a woman named Phoebe Dynevor. She is the star of Bridgerton. And I have a picture. The big Netflix series. She's the big star from Bridgerton, British and very feminine and girly and plucky. An insider says they're taking it slow, but that's because he's committed to his work on SNL and she's shooting Bridgerton in England. But the insider says still, Pete must like her if he's flying off to quaint little villages to hang out with her. He recently moved out of his mom's basement, according to this source, but he's very intense with his girlfriends, as we've heard. He previously was engaged to Ariana Grande. He dated Cindy Crawford's daughter, Kaya Gerber.
Oh, and listen, first off, Ariana Grande should be wanting like pussy residuals from Pete Davidson. Like, you were fucking skinny, wanky, fucking awkward, unfunny sack of shit. And then I let the world know I was fucking you, and it's opened the floodgates to all the other fucking hot chicks that now, from this day forth, you can dump me and you go right into the arms of another hottie because I established you as someone who dates hot chicks. And the way chicks are wired, that's how they roll. They factor in the other person the person was fucking, and if they were super hot, then the hotties line up. Guys don't work that way. We don't care how good looking if a chick's ugly and dated John Hamm for 6 years, she's still ugly when she breaks up with John Hamm. That's how it works.
She should get
Really?
10% in perpetuity.
Yes.
But you don't assume there's something about her that if it's good enough for John Hamm.
No,
it's
we
good
assume
enough for
something's
you?
wrong with John Hamm. We turn on him.
She might suck a mean dick.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's right.
Interesting.
But
Okay.
that's how it works.
Noted.
Yeah, we'll do stuff like they must have met back when they were both waiting or bartending. You know, we'll make a little side story up to justify it.
Right.
But it in no way gets us more attracted to her.
Yeah.
But Pete Davidson now, I don't go below 9.75 on the hot erector meter, whatever it is.
I think it's the erector scale.
The erector scale. He now just announces this is it. Actually, he doesn't have to announce it. It just is.
Yeah.
Sixes and sevens need not apply. It's Pete Davidson, who's, cute at best, but not a great example. He didn't make anyone's list here of hottest dudes. He just established that's what he does. And if Ariana Grande is fucking leaving money on the table, because what she should be doing is creating these sort of make-believe relationships with, B-list, middle of the pack guys. It's a gift that keeps giving. It's worth millions of dollars.
You know who we need to ask about this? The original benefactor of this scheme, Patrick Dempsey in Can't Buy Me Love. He paid the hot girl to pretend she was dating him so he'd be hotter to everybody else.
That's right.
Yeah. God, I'd love that movie.
I have
Probably
a cell
couldn't be made
number.
today.
I'll ask him about
That would be great.
You inspired me, Adam, to look up Angie Harmon and her kids, and her daughters they're good looking. I mean,
I wanna see.
Seahorn Harmon kids.
You cannot do better than Seahorn and Harmon. Angie Harmon's hot. All right, let me hit Fitish. Gain balance with Fitish CBD, high quality plant powered essentials to help you overcome anxiety, insomnia, skin issues, and more to achieve a better sense of well being. Yeah, I hit off this before I go to bed at night, just a couple of drops, and it just calms you down, and your troubles melt away, and you can get a beautiful night's sleep. Affordable and transparent CBD options ranging from tinctures for overall balance to a wide array of skincare that fits into your lifestyle. Check out Fitish.com or at the Fitish on Instagram to see incredible testimonials from customers, plus before and after reviews with photos. CBD, it's not going to get you high. There is no psychoactive effects. Fitish CBD is hemp-derived, 0 THC. Right, Dawson?
Try Fitish CBD for yourself to get the best wellness in the game at Fitish.com and use code Adam15 for 15% off your order. That's Fitish.com and enter code Adam15 at checkout for 15% off your order. Fitish, a clear mind and clearer skin for the win.
All right.
I'm not big on showing leaked pictures normally, but I think this is a little bit of a different case. Khloe Kardashian is on a mission to delete a private, unedited photo of herself from the internet. According to Page 6, the image shows the reality star's face and body as she appears in a bikini by a pool without the heavy editing and airbrushing that are the mainstays of Kardashian, photos on Instagram. And we have it. I'm going to show you it. There she is, pretty girl wearing her bikini, looking happy.
That's
Khloe.
Coco.
Khloe.
That's
Khloe. Yeah, Khloe's, is she 40 yet?
I don't think so.
She's
Because
the young
36.
older. So she's probably like
36.
39. There you go.
36.
So
Okay.
the pics started making the rounds around the internet. Many people are reportedly forced to take them down under legal threat from the Kardashian camp. And in a statement, a chief marketing officer of KKW brand says the color edited photo was taken of Khloe during a private family gathering and posted to social media without permission by mistake by an assistant. But this is a perfectly lovely picture of a perfectly healthy, pretty, normal person. And I don't think this is like showing someone's boobs when you didn't have her permission.
Pete Davidson wouldn't fuck her. Not this
no
version.
way.
No
No
way.
fucking way.
No way.
I'm also going to say that if you hosted a show called Revenge Body,
Brian!
The limits are a little less than they would be on a normal.
What do you mean by that?
You made that your trade. That's your thing.
Oh, I thought you meant she doesn't have a revenge body.
No.
I see.
I think she looks fine there, but I'm saying if you hosted a show, if you trade in revenge body looks, blah blah blah, et cetera, then I think the limit should be less constrictive.
Well, look, what's going on here is she looks like an attractive woman, and nothing more. She doesn't look like a superhero. You know, when you see those brushed pictures and those doctored pictures and all that kind of stuff, it creates a bar that nobody could ever clear.
And a normal-ish 36-year-old who's taking care of herself.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't consider this Schadenfreude. You know, we don't show a lot of this leaked of Jennifer Lawrence boobs that she privately sent. I don't think this is that. This is a perfectly nice picture that doesn't, like you said, doesn't
it's not
make
a glamour shot.
No, but it doesn't make her look unattainable. But it's perfectly lovely, and it might give teenagers and women of any age a little peek behind the curtain that I think that at this point the Kardashians owe people.
Well, they've certainly, created a very unrealistic version of femininity that all the young girls look at. And, it's funny. It doesn't matter how many times somebody says, "Oh, that's airbrushed," or "Oh, that's got a filter." You just see the picture and you go, "Oh my God, I don't look like that. I could never look like that." So, and obviously because we put so much stock in that, as previously discussed, with the aesthetic with females versus, meaning we all just paraded a whole bunch of aesthetically beautiful males in the last segment in front of us, and none of the guys felt shamed or felt like they could do better or they needed to do better.
Threatened.
Threatened. Yeah. But they obviously do that, and they get to the young girls. I mean, my daughter has been well aware of the Kardashians for quite some years, and so are her friends. That's what they. I don't know if they seek to whatever, but it's in early and often.
It's a standard,
right? So
thank God, when I was littler than Brian, we had Ali Sheedy and these really cute girls next door that you didn't think had, disordered eating or anything like, they're just like really cute girls.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Anyway, good. She looks fine. So be it. And and this is the last year of the Kardashians, right? They're done. I mean, their TV show's done.
I don't know that I wouldn't know.
It's weird when you get into the. God, have those guys figured out how to make money? Man, have they figured out our system. Like they figured out our system. Like we are aesthetically oriented. We're also kind of trendy. And also, if you're going to work really fucking hard and hustle and work Saturdays and Sundays and control the narrative, you can get we have, I think different cultures have different values, and some cultures are very religious, and this place closes down on a Sunday, and you're not supposed to work or whatever it is. But they figured out, they basically just went, what is America? What do? They value the aesthetic, and they value the work ethic, and they value the sexuality, and they just went and hit on every one of those cylinders.
You're right about everything. And one thing that I don't think people acknowledge enough is Americans, it sounds weird, but think about it. Americans value wealth. Like if you're wealthy, and they were wealthy to begin with, right? They were super wealthy from Kardashian, whatever. Like if you're wealthy, Americans think, oh, they've got it figured out. No better example than Donald Trump. Oh, he's wealthy, he's got it figured out. Like people value the attaining of wealth makes you a deity in a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah. Well, we have this weird relationship with it, which is we either love you or we hate you on your wealth, because kind of based on who you are. But, if I get into it if I get in any argument with anyone on Twitter, it'll immediately go to, oh, you sitting in your $7 million mansion. You know, it's always like,
Yes.
I always do
It
like.
can be used both ways. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm always amused at these. By the way, I'm with them. Like, I wish I just sat in my mansion. I just count money. My son brings in sacks of bills, and I just sit in my bathrobe in my mansion with my monogram slippers. It's like, I'm fucking taking a Southwest flight to Reno and staying in a shitty casino this weekend or next weekend or whatever it is. But, yeah, it's two-way street. Yes, we hate people who have money, and well, I would argue that the people that critique you for having money, that's really just a version of you being on a schoolyard and going up to the girl you like and pulling her ponytail.
Sure.
That's just, you have this weird relationship with it. Like, sorry. Brian?
I would offer as evidence the wild success of the Real Housewives franchise. They offer literally nothing. They're not celebrities. They're not especially good looking. They're not funny. They're not interesting. They're simply wealthy, and thus they have become huge successes.
Yep. All right, let's do one more, Gina Gran.
Quick correction, though Ally Sheedy works, I was, of course, in my head thinking of Elizabeth Shue, whose name is Ally in Karate Kid. But you get
Ally
the point.
Sheedy
Those
works.
80s actresses, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we had Shrimp Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Jensen Karp. Well, we got a new one. Move over Cinnamon Toast Crunch, make room for Flaming Hot Cheetos. A 6-year-old boy in Montana went to open his Flaming Hot Cheetos, and his father, whose name I think is important to let you know, Bowhorn Weasel, says he bought the bag of chips at a convenience store, and after his son finished it off, at the bottom of the bag was a cheese-dusted bullet. And we have a picture there. The man contacted Frito-Lay and on Facebook and shared a picture of this piece of ammunition. Then Cheetos responded saying they take this matter seriously. They'll be contacting him for more information. A rep for the company said this situation is highly unusual and troubling. We have already taken steps to investigate and attempt to identify the root cause. So Bowhorn Weasel couldn't possibly put this in
I'm calling
there.
bullshit on this.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah. And by the way, that means he's related to Matthew McConaughey, right? Because only McConaughey has those crazy kind of sibling names.
Rooster, Weasel.
This feels pretty cooked. It's just a slug, right? It's not the whole shell and everything. So it's like it's been fired. Yeah. I realize, like, with almost all these stories that we talk about, I would just finish the fucking Cheetos and move on. Like, I would never stop and take a picture and write a letter and like all that shit. But this one feels cooked. All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Well, last but not least, there's LifeLock. Cyber criminals are using COVID-19 to scam people who lost their job or reduce their work hours with phishing emails and fake websites promising financial support while stealing their info all the while. It's important to understand how cybercrime and identity theft are affecting our lives. Every day we put our info at risk on the internet. In an instant, cybercriminals could harm your finances and credit. Good thing there's LifeLock. LifeLock detects a wide range of identity threats like your social security number for sale on the dark web. If they detect your info has potentially been compromised, they will send you an alert, so protect yourself with a LifeLock. Right, Dawson?
No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but you can keep what's yours with LifeLock Identity Theft Protection. Join now and save up to 25% off your first year at LifeLock.com, promo code Adam. It's LifeLock.com, promo code Adam for 25% off.
All right. Appleton, Wisconsin, Skyline Comedy Club, May 7th and 8th. Sit at home, count my money. This time at a Red Roof Inn in Wisconsin, everybody. Doing live pods there and stand-up as well. And then off to Golden, Colorado, Buffalo Rose.
Adam, also you got a show added May 14th, I believe, or April. I thought it was May. It's May 14th, and it's Huntington Beach. You're doing an outdoor venue.
My mansion's not in Huntington Beach, dude. I'm going to have to bring my sacks of money out there and count it. All right.
What a schlep.
Yeah, Royal Oak, Michigan, Golden, Colorado, Kansas City. Just go to AdamCarolla.com and I'll tell you where I'm coming to a town near you. And I want to thank Mark Geragos for coming in. Listen for our Reasonable Doubt supplemental. I guess it'd be supplemental podcast that we will
Beyond a Reasonable
Beyond a Reasonable Doubt. We'll do that. And until next time, Sam for Mark and Gina and Bald saying mahalo.